Well, I went fishing the other day and I got skunked. And that got me thinking not about fishing and not about buying cheap dynamite, but about skunks. My cousin, he had a pet skunk and it was descented, which means it didn't have no stink glands. And before the people for the ethical treatment of skunks go calling me, it was born that way. That skunk was not surgically altered in any way. Anyhow, the mama skunk didn't like it because it was a run of the litter because it didn't have no stink, and she ended up kicking it out. So, and I guess it was probably bullied, by its brothers and sisters. Hey, no stink, you're a loser. So anyhow, it was wandering through the woods one day on its own, poor thing, and my cousin, he found that thing and he took it in and raised it up. And he always had a soft spot for misfit animals. He had a rattleless snake. It was like a regular rattlesnake, but didn't have no rattle. And you had to be real careful when you played with that thing because, you didn't get no warning before it bit you. Because that's what the rattle does. It's like, that gives a warning. Says, hey, back off, I'm going to bite you. So we called it the silent killer. He also, he had a pigeon, didn't have no tail feathers. And that's how birds balance, with them tail feathers sticking out the back. And that thing would perch on his shoulder, but it didn't have no sense of balance. And it would just bobble back and forth, like a feathered bobblehead. It made my cousin look like a pirate because he wore an eye patch on the one eye. And when we was kids, he had sustained an eye injury from one of our more violent strawberry Twizzlers liquor sword fights. And that was the last strawberry Twizzlers liquor sword fight we had, because from then on, my aunt, she'd only buy them little strawberry licorice nibs, and they tasted fine, but they wasn't no good for battle. Anyhow, back to his pet skunk. That skunk didn't know that it didn't have no stink. And when he'd get irritated with you or something, he'd just turn himself around, his little tail go up, and it was just like a puff of air, and didn't even smell like nothing really. But anyhow, we didn't want the skunk to feel bad, so we'd say, "Oh boy, that just smells terrible," "Oh, that's awful," We'd make real big like it was something terrible. And because trust me, the last thing you want is, you get up to St. Peter on Judgment Day, and he's leafing through his book, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, bud. According to this, you bullied a skunk." Don't want that. Anyhow, one night before bedtime, he let this skunk out, his little skunk, to do its business in the yard, and got into a tussle with another skunk. And he said it sounded just like a cat fight, like, except, it would have been like skunk noises. Anyhow, that skunk of his got sprayed real good by that other skunk. So he called me and he said, "Bring over all the tomato juice you got." Because, he wanted to fill the tub with tomato juice there and then get the stink out of that skunk. So we filled the wash tub there with tomato juice, and when we got ready to put that little fella in there for his scrubbing, we just stopped cold. Because if you'd have seen the smile on that little skunk's face, it brought both me and my cousin to tears. And we ain't criers. We didn't even cry at the alternative ending there in the director's cut of Charlotte's Web when they killed Wilbur the pig and roasted him up on a spit, for the town picnic. That didn't even faze us, But that little smelly skunk prancing around and just looking so dang proud of himself, that was more than we could handle. And then we realized that was the first time in his little skunk life that fella felt like a real skunk. So we didn't give him no bath. We just let him keep that stink. Well, I have rambled on long enough. Have a blessed day, and remember, sometimes the greatest joy comes when you let others just be who they want to be.